Hello, friends. After a multitude of rainy days, it was so good to feel sun on my skin again. English countryside is slowly awakening from its deep winter slumber, and so am I. I feel like my year doesn't truly begin until February. The first month is generally spent simply restoring the energy and slowly getting back into routine, finding myself again. I generally don't have much creative energy in winter at all, so now that we are entering February, the last full month of winter, I am finally getting a bit of life and inspiration back. Perhaps that's exactly why today I feel the need to romanticize these quiet, sleepy, slow days in winter. Go for a very long countryside walk in the sunny Cotswolds, embark on a little art project, and make something very yummy, perhaps for a Valentine's Day or simply on a random Wednesday. I don't actually celebrate Valentine's Day that much, but I am happy to celebrate love and creativity any time of the week or year. I do give in to negativity a little bit too easily, constantly wondering where things went wrong and whether it's even possible to ever get better. Yes, I have days like this a little too often. But at times there are also different kind of days, when suddenly everything feels aligned and good again, when it feels like all the worries and anxieties you've been dealing with are as temporary as the bleak winter days. When I suddenly realize how beautiful life truly can be, how wonderful it is to live at a place like this, simply be safe and wake up healthy every morning. It sounds a tad cheesy or trivial perhaps, but how often do we actually take our lives for granted? part of the reason I've been feeling a little bit down lately is also the fact that I haven't been going outside much. I've never really been a homebody before, always preferring the outdoors, but in the past few years I've become very attached to my four walls. Nature truly always makes me feel so much better, but there is one little personal con of living in the countryside that I thought about recently. Winters are much more difficult when you're surrounded by nature rather than in the city. Hear me out. When I lived in London, I never really noticed the shift of seasons that much. Being in a big city, surrounded by stunning architecture, an abundance of third spaces like museums, cafes, shared offices, markets, etc., makes it somehow easier to get distracted from the bleak winter days. When I was a student, then worked at an office, and then became a freelancer later on, there was never a question about being too attached to my own four walls, even at times when I technically worked from home. I always found a cafe to snuggle up at with a book or a computer, or a library, a bookshop, a gallery. Winters went by unnoticeably so. However, wintertime in the countryside is really a test of character, a test for all of your senses. When you are surrounded by nature with very little opportunities to find any third indoor space, the outside starts impacting you on a deeper level. All the little changes in nature are suddenly so much more visible. The early sunset and lack of street lighting confine you indoors from late afternoon. You learn to drag yourself out, whatever the weather, get up early in the morning to prolong the day. You learn to love the bare trees, the flooded, mushy paths, the boots that are always dirty and fingertips nipped by the frost. Good morning. Well, actually, it's afternoon, and I thought I would chat with you a little bit while I am painting this little Victorian, what was it called? Victorian puzzle purse, that's what it's called. Let me continue making this little thing while I'm chatting with you. To be fair, I'm actually not the best multitasker, so I don't know how this is gonna go, but I will try. I am not feeling creative at all. I haven't been creative for the past few months. I think it really is the effect of winter, of January, of this hibernation period. I am really dependent on the weather, and my creativity is really dependent on the weather. So whenever it's grey and gloomy outside, and not the nice type of grey, not the foggy and moody and pretty type of grey, but just bleak and grey, my creativity is just at the lowest. And all I want to do at this time is to hibernate, to just hide away, not be seen, not be heard by anyone. And I know that sometimes we just have to allow ourselves to exist and not be creative. But as a creative person, I think I experience a lot of shame around not being creative enough. When you live in the countryside in winter, you just get a little bit more depressed, at least I do, because the festivities are over, Christmas is over, and then you're supposed to start the new year and become your best self and all that, but everything is so grey and so bleak and so still and so just unpleasant outside that honestly I don't feel like becoming my best self just yet. I think it's important to keep a balance. First of all, allow yourself to just exist during this time of year and kind of not base your worth on your accomplishments in the first month of the year, because technically this time is still there for you to recharge, to have a slow start. I think it's best to start slowly, not just rush into things. Just do things at your own pace, but also romanticize the little moments. For example, I try to go out on a morning walk and try to pay attention to the tiniest details and changes in nature, like fine snowdrops or other flowers or spring buds on the trees. And it's such a trivial and silly thing, but that really gives me energy, and that really allows me to notice that actually change is coming and everything is slowly awakening, and I don't need to rush. I can just go at my own pace. I'm just trying to make myself do something creative for the sake of creativity, not for the sake of achievement or accomplishment. Because it is rather unrealistic as well to just always do things expecting the result. Otherwise, how would you learn? You have to do things just to learn, just to be messy, just to enjoy the process, just to find something that brings you an immense enjoyment and adds life into your day. When you constantly try to do things just to achieve something, just to achieve a result, that turns it into this rat race all over again. And as a result, you push for achievement rather than for creativity. And I feel like I'm so stuck in the achievement phase instead of creativity phase that as a result I am getting neither. I also have to remind myself that while it is exciting to watch other people do exciting things and renovate houses somewhere deep in the countryside and go on wild adventures and live these beautiful and exciting lives that I never had, it is also important to know that there are actually a lot of people very similar to you, to me, people who are just living normal lives. And of course, normal is different for everybody. Maybe what is normal to me is not normal to you, or what is normal to you is not normal to me. Maybe I would want to have your life and you would want to have my life. But it is important to remember that all of our lives are comprised of ups and downs, of good moments and bad moments, of exciting moments and just regular normal moments. And it's important to be both. I sometimes compare myself to others, especially during this time when I'm not feeling very creative or very worthy of sharing anything, or when I get an imposter syndrome and think that, well, who's even gonna care? I don't need to shut down my creativity just because of this shame and fear of not being enough. It's okay to create and not show it to anyone, and just do things for practice, do things for yourself, do things for your own pleasure. But also, your creativity is worthy of being seen. If the only reason you're not showing your creative side to anyone is fear and shame and doubt, then you have to show it anyway. Then you just have to expose yourself and let your creativity go and see the world. I hope I made sense. I am waffling. I'm sorry. I can't paint and talk at the same time. Let's continue properly painting this thing, but this is what I had done so far. It's my 4th year here, the longest I've ever lived in one single place. And while I found this change somewhat challenging, I also fell in love with it so much. I feel that now all my senses are so much more heightened. I let my highly sensitive nature be vulnerable and exposed again. I pay attention to so many details much more than ever before. And I learned to cherish the good and the not so good parts of life, realizing that indeed all of it is simply temporary. Little by little, I feel like myself again. I'm excited about the little things, excited about these art projects that I always wanted to try but never had time for, excited about the chocolate cake on a Wednesday. Life still often feels strange and hectic. Most days I wish I could add another 24 hours to the existing 24. I wonder whether I can cut down on sleep or rest to fit everything I want to do, everything I want to be, only to realize that that is not the answer. Perhaps a true definition of success is the freedom to choose and prioritize what really matters to you most at any particular moment. We're not always able to do that in this whirlwind of life. Create for the sake of creating. Live slowly. Have enough sleep. So any day we are able to add these simple pleasures into our busy lives is the day lived well in my books. Life isn't supposed to be a straight line. You can change course, you can redefine your dreams, change opinions, you can give yourself time to rest, or you can plunge forward and let yourself live the life that is bigger than you ever thought you're capable of. You can lose yourself many times and find yourself all over again, a new, different iteration of you. I'm saying this out loud, and I never really intended for this video to become so serious. But this is what I needed to hear. I needed someone to tell me this. Perhaps, maybe you need to hear this too. So, thank you yet again for listening to my musings and spending your time with me here today. I will see you again very soon.